Okay, so this morning we're going to start on our backs. So I'd invite you to go ahead and find a place that's comfortable. If you get down there and your lower back is speaking to you, you have your pillows, you have blankets, whatever, you might just stick them right underneath that lower like leg underneath your knees. And if you have a blanket, maybe your blanket acts as like a little pillow for your neck support. Just getting yourself set up. And most of us, I guess, have practiced yin together before. A few of you haven't been here with us for a yin practice. And so as you settle in this morning, I'm just going to explain a little bit of what we're going to be doing. As you settle, ensure that the shoulders are soft and the face is soft. And then you'll connect with your breath. Use that breath to relax you. Yin yoga is an interesting practice in that we maintain this intention to relax throughout the hour. However, how and where we'll be relaxing is a bit challenging. Very different than on our backs with the earth supporting us. Instead, what we're going to do this morning is we're going to address the connective tissue, which is very often like the ligaments and the tendons. Often it's what people call fascia. We'll address that by essentially stressing it. And in stressing, what we'll do is we'll find a place where we first feel a little bit of sensation, and we'll pause there, and then our intention will be to be relaxing into that tension. And tension is very different than pain. If there's any sort of pain, sharp shooting, whatever, we're avoiding pain. And so that'll be your indicator to get out of wherever you're at and modify. We do yin yoga with cold muscles. And we do that so that it doesn't stretch the muscles. It goes right to that connective tissue and stresses and stretches it. Yin yoga is also a very slow practice. We'll stay in each place at least 3 minutes, maybe more like 5. Because it's slow, it's meditative in nature. As you settle in this morning onto your mat, allow the idea of a meditative practice to begin to sink in, to resonate. Maybe even ask yourself, what does meditation, what does it mean to you? Reminding ourselves that meditation can look different for each one of us. For some, it might be that traditional sitting posture, straight spine, complete stillness. For others, it might be a walk on the trail, a hike, could be a run. For some, it's painting or dancing. Meditation is any time that we bring our awareness into the moment. Any time that we're present, aware of the sensations that we're experiencing. So bring awareness to sensation. Allow yourself to be aware of what's happening right now, right this moment in your body, in your mind, aware of energy or spirit. If there's a particular intention that is kind of calling out to you, maybe from deep within, hear that. Perhaps you consider it as your intention for this hour. I'm going to take just a couple more breaths. And we're going to begin then by bringing our hips up, which will mean that either our pillows, if you've got your bolster at home, whatever it is going to slide up right underneath it's your butt, your hips. Almost like you would be doing a bridge, but it's a supported bridge. It's right underneath or on top of the sacrum. Your sacrum's on top of it. And once you've got that, you're going to readjust your shoulders, make sure that they can relax, make sure that the neck has enough room so that there's freedom. And very mindfully, you're going to stretch out your right leg and just let it be straight. Let it relax. And you're allowing, obviously, a compression of the lower back, but also an openness in that right hip. And here's where we're going to stay for the next 3 minutes. I'd invite you to connect back with breath. And perhaps as you exhale, you use your exhale to soften your body. Almost like you could drop into this. I think all of us, our minds will wander. We'll start thinking about something out there in our days and our worlds. And that's okay. You're just going to notice that that's what your mind is doing. And you're going to gently and kindly direct it back to the breath, to the sensation in your body, Good. We've just got about 30 seconds left on this side. When you come out of this, I would encourage you to engage your core and help that leg with the belly, like help it bend so you can bring that foot back, your knees bent. Notice before you do the other side, notice the sensation, lower back and hips. When you're ready, you're gently going to stretch out that other leg. And in yin, it doesn't matter so much like the alignment. Your foot can flop out and roll open. You could let that knee drop, the bent knee, because your muscles are not what we're using here. Your alignment isn't necessarily the focus. The focus is us releasing and relaxing in to our position in order to stretch, to create tension in that connective tissue. Our body is more than 30% of the body is made up of connective tissue. In fact, it wraps around each muscle. It's that, if you've ever butchered your own meat, it's the white stuff that kind of wraps around the meat, wraps around our muscles. Creates our joints. Okay, just a little bit longer. Your belly is going to engage, and it's as though the belly helps bend that knee, bring the foot back so that your feet are hip distance kind of apart. You're going to press down through the heels enough that you can slide that bolster out and just over to the side so it's out of your way for a sec. And then slowly bring your hips back to the earth and let the ground support that lower back. Maybe your feet come all the way together, as do your knees. Very gently, very slowly, let your knees tick-tock, just dropping a bit from side to side. Bring one arm or the other alongside the ear. Whatever arm is up, you're going to let the knees drop that way so you can roll to your side body. Your top hand is going to come down mid-chest level, scooch, so you can just roll on to your belly. And on our bellies, we've got our elbows right underneath our shoulders, and we're setting up for a Sphinx pose, but it's not an active Sphinx pose, it's a yin Sphinx pose. So elbows under the shoulders, your heart here is going to drop down towards the ground. And you wouldn't do this in a normal practice. You'd normally keep everything engaged. Not today. We're after connective tissue. Your chin will tuck, and here we'll stay, finding breath. Of course, if you have a block, if you have something that you can rest your forehead on, that's ideal, but not mandatory. Just helps you find softness in this. A lot of the times there's all kinds of sensation. If it's pain, of course, you're getting out of there. But otherwise, you're observing it, using breath to relax into it. Remember, it's totally normal for the mind to start thinking. When it thinks, we've kind of lost that meditative state because your mind is no longer in the present. Usually it's thinking about things from the past or things in the future. And it might be just 5 minutes future, 5 minutes ago. We're really attempting anyways to direct it to right here, right now. Good, you've got just a couple more breaths here. With an inhale, you're slowly going to lift the head up. And then let's go ahead and you're going to kickstand that right arm. So you can take your left arm out to the side and then just weave it under. You're going to bring your chest down on top of your arm. And then I like to bring my hand, my right hand, like down underneath my forehead in a fist. So I have somewhere to rest my forehead. And essentially what you're doing as you figure this out, you're just laying on top of your arm. If you don't have sensation, you would pull that arm bone back out a little bit so more of your chest is on top of your arm. And then, of course, find your breath. See if you can relax each exhale a little bit more. Your legs can be doing whatever best serves you. Really relaxing those shoulders. Your belly is soft, your back body is soft. You might notice if you're used to a more active practice, almost feels like the body can get antsy or the mind gets antsy and you just want to move. We acknowledge that, we work with that, maybe even telling ourselves that this is new and so it might be more difficult. For many of us, doing less in general, in all places of life, doing less is sometimes really hard on us mentally. For a variety of reasons, we are driven to always be productive. Maybe we consider where that serves us, where that doesn't. And at least for now, allow yourself to just relax into this. Consider less as more just for this hour. We'll do 2 more breaths. To come out ever so mindfully, you're going to lift the head. Use that right arm to help lift your chest up, and if you can slide that arm out. We're going on to our left side. So you'll stretch that left arm out. Your right hand is at mid-chest level. Roll to your left side, and you're coming to what we call in yin. It's a baby Buddha, which just means that that left arm bends and it holds your head like right at your ear. And your knees are bent. I guess those of you that have practiced before, this is one of my favorite just because it reminds me of my grandpa laying on the ground watching TV in the night. And we just relax into this. And right away, for most of us, we recognize kind of sensation in the neck. If we can, that elbow is like it's right up, right in line, like with our ear. You're opening that underside of your chest or your torso. Notice breath again. If at any point it's too much, you could straighten the arm out, rest the head on the ear. You might notice that top shoulder. There's an opportunity to relax it. Just a couple more breaths. We're not in this one as long. You're going to straighten that left arm. Let your head drop down to your arm. Just letting the neck realign for a sec. Your right hand will come down mid-chest level. Straighten those legs so you can roll back to the belly. We've got one more for this left side. Your arm's going to extend out, like straight out from the shoulders. So it would be like a half of a T. And we're taking our right hand at mid-chest level, letting it help us to roll back. And I like to bring my top leg back and kind of just plant it somewhere behind me. That's a lot on the lower back, and so you might just choose to keep the leg on top of the other, but you're allowing the just right amount of sensation in that left shoulder, not too much, not too little. When you've got that just right, you're going to relax into it and observe the sensation. Very often it'll pass. If it passes, that's an opportunity to go in a little bit deeper. But if it doesn't pass, you're going to stay there. If it gets greater, you might watch it for a little while, but you might also pull out a little. And just a few more breaths. When you're ready to come out, slowly roll yourself back to your belly. We're going to pull both elbows so they're underneath the shoulders back to that Sphinx pose. And there's, I guess, an option here if your lower back is wishing for more sensation. You can move it into seal, which is just your arms straight and you're lifting that, like that head, that chest up more. Either place though, you're gonna drop your chest and that facilitates shoulder blades sliding together on the back and chin tucks. And just as you did before, you're gonna soften, literally like you could somehow relax into this even though there's a ton of sensation. Not pain, but sensation. If there's pain, get on out of there. Notice breath. Your exhale relaxes you, softens you. Maybe it sinks you. Good. If you're up in seal, go ahead and come down to Sphinx. So your elbows under your shoulders. We're moving to that right shoulder. So your left arm needs to be your kickstand. Your right arm is going to weave under it. You're bringing your chest down right on top of that right arm. Maybe your left hand fist so you can rest the forehead. But it's like you're smashing that arm underneath you. If there's not sensation, you just pull the arm bone back out towards the right a little. So more of you is laying on top of that arm. Your shoulders soft, your face soft, belly soft. I think we've got about 30 seconds left. When you come out of this, you're making your way to that baby Buddha. So it would be your right side down. So you'll unweave, bring that right arm alongside the ear. Your left hand's at mid-chest level and it's helping you roll to the side. That right arm is on the bottom. Maybe it supports your head, your neck. Just for a sec, check in. And then when you're ready, you'll bend the elbow and let that arm like hold the ear, support the neck, and you relax into it. Of course, connecting with breath again. Maybe you remind yourself of your intention for your hour. We're not here as long, so take another breath or two. And then straighten that arm, bring the head down to rest. Your other hand will come to chest level so you can lengthen legs out, roll back to the belly. Right arm moves straight out from the shoulder like a half of a giant T. Your left hand is at mid-chest level, and it's gonna help you roll back and around. Maybe that top leg reaches back, but you're looking for that just right spot for that right shoulder. Not too much, not too little. When you've got your spot, you relax into it and observe that sensation. If it passes, you can certainly go a little deeper. If it doesn't, maybe you watch it a little while. Maybe you pull out of it. You'll know, if you listen to your body, you'll know what to do. For a few more breaths. Very mindfully, you'll roll back to your belly. Let's bring both hands in so they're at mid-chest level. Your core is going to engage so that you can push yourself up to all fours. Once on all fours, let's again grab like our pillow, our bolster. We're going to come into a child's pose so that we can kind of counter everything that we've done with that lower back. And so there's a difference between a restorative child's pose and a yin child's pose. And actually, maybe you pick which one is better for you right now. Your restorative one is going to be really like comfy, really supported, so that you can just easily relax. Your yin is going to create tension in your hips. And for those of you that are requesting like hips or even cookie that IT band, it might be that you choose more of the yin one. Either way, knees part, and you're working your way down to whatever it is that you're going to use support-wise. If you don't want your face right in your support, you'll turn your head one way or the other, and I'll give you the cue when we're halfway through so you can turn your head the other way. But we're down into this, connecting with breath. And whether we're doing the yin or a restorative one, our intention is going to be to relax the shoulders, relax the neck, and our intention is to relax the hips, like release the pelvic floor. Use your breath just as you were. Your exhale, softening, sinking, relaxing. Lots of sensation. If sensation passes, you can definitely move a little deeper. If it heightens, notice, be really wise whether you stay there or whether you pull out. Good, we're halfway through. If your head is turned one way, go ahead, turn it the other. Maybe you can soften something just a little bit more. You've got just a few more breaths. When you come out of this one, your hands will come mid-chest level. You'll slowly push up and then slowly come forward onto all fours. And once we're on all fours, you might bring knees under the hips, take a leg out behind you, like stretch it out so that hip is finally unhinged. You could rock your leg bone side to side in your hip socket. Both sides, you could do some cat-cow if you want. Maybe even down dog. Just taking, I don't know, a minute or two to release, to lengthen the muscles, move. Move in whatever way you feel like your body is asking for. Yin yoga is truly, it's one of, for me anyways, the hardest practices. There's just so much sensation, so much in one's mind that says we're supposed to be moving. So as you are moving, give yourself just some credit, maybe some gratitude for the ways in which you do care for your body, for your mind. We'll eventually move around so that we can come to a comfortable seat. And you probably can tell, like we've moved to the hips, into that like IT band, those connective tissues on the outside of our thighs. We're going to start with its fire log, and it can be different variations for different bodies. And so I'm going to give you just each of them, and you're going to decide what works for you. And so we're going to start with, we'll start with our right leg straight, and then your left ankle is going to come up on top of your right knee. And this is our maybe most mindful version of fire log. You'll stay right here, but you'll let this top knee, the bent knee, be dropping down towards the earth. And here, if sitting is really hard, like hard on the lower back, here's where you could take that blanket. I should have told you this to start, but you would take your blanket and you would get your sits bones right on top. So most of your butt is actually hanging off the edge of the blanket. And that's just gonna make it nicer. It's nicer on your spine while you sit. So you're either in this version of fire log, or you're bending that bottom leg as well, stacking your ankles right over top or underneath your knee, and still your top knee is dropping, your bottom knee is dropping, your eyes might close, your shoulders soften. And you're observing yet again the sensation. Your face is soft. Even though core is it is engaged to hold you upright. There's still a sense of softness in the belly. And if your mind wanders ahead or behind this moment, you're gently bringing it back. There's something to that gentleness, something to the way that you talk to yourself. Most of us, a tendency in talking to ourselves is to be really harsh, really critical. Maybe this morning, there's just a consideration as whether that critical, that harshness actually serves you well, or maybe that compassionate, that gentle, kind of guiding rather than condemning voice. Maybe that serves you better. Can tell you it's much nicer for your nervous system, much nicer for your self-worth. You've got just a couple more breaths. From fire log, we're going to shoelace. And so if our leg is straight, all that will mean is that that straight leg comes over towards the left a little and you pull your knee towards the right. And it's like you're trying to stack your knees on top of each other. And then I like to grab my top knee and like use it as a little lever to hold me up. If we have our legs bent, it's the exact same thing. We're just stacking, we're trying to stack the knees. Once we've got our knees stacked, most of us, our left butt or sits bone will lift off the ground. And so intention wise, we're just trying to like reground those sits bones so they're nice and level. Again, our eyes close. And here, maybe the place you really focus on relaxing is, it's the hips, that space in between your hips. Maybe your pelvic floor softens. This is so different than an active practice. Just because what's being stretched here really is, it's that connective tissue. To keep it healthy, it does need a certain amount of stress, which, gosh, how true is that? We all need a certain amount of stress, but it's not too much. It is that certain, that just right amount. Okay, just one or two more breaths. We're gonna unweave our legs. So top one comes out, bottom one undoes. And let's bring our hands behind us for a sec, support us, and let the knees just sway a bit side to side. Just so those thigh bones can move a little in the hip sockets, maybe your lower back can release a bit. When you're ready, we're starting with fire log on the other side, which will mean, which leg is it? Our left one, I think, is on bottom, and our right one is on top. And so if both knees bent is too much, it means your left one is straight, your right ankle is on your left knee, and that right knee, its job is to just try to drop towards the earth. If you're bending both, your ankle is stacked on top of your knee, knee on top of your ankle. And yes, core is engaged, but still there's softness. There's softness in shoulders. Maybe your eyes are closed. And that awareness moves down to the hips. That space even between the hips, the pelvic floor, all of that is soft. You're noticing breath. At any point, sensation is too great. Feel free to adjust. And trust your body to tell you. And if it tells you, listen. Good, you've got just a few more breaths. When you're ready, you're going to transition to shoelace, which is just you trying to stack your knees in the middle, whether bottom leg is straight or bent, it doesn't matter. Once you've got them stacked, that right sit bone, it usually tries to be up off the ground. And so of course you're just intending to level your sits bones. You re-soften the pelvis area, the shoulders, the face even. Good. Take a couple more breaths. You're gonna come out by just unweaving the leg. This time, let's bring hands behind us, but allow them to help us to come down to our back body so that we're all the way down on the ground. Once you're on the ground, you can either keep the feet on the ground and let the legs windshield wiper a bit side to side, or even pull them in towards your torso, hands to your knees, and rock a little that way. But obviously, you're again releasing lower back. If you're experiencing a lot of sensations still in the hips, please know that that's normal, or the shoulders. Most of the time, this really is not pleasant during the practice. But what will happen is you go back to your day and you go back to moving around, you'll notice that there's much more ease with your movement because that connective tissue, it's been stressed. But when it's stressed, the blood goes rushing towards it. And so it's like it's been lubricated, it's been nourished. So last place we go in almost all yin practices is a spinal twist. And so you can bring your feet back to the ground if they're up. Your knees will stay bent. I like to bring my arms out like a giant T just because that helps me know to relax my shoulders. And then the knees will drop to the right. And if you want your neck included, so you've got your hips, your shoulders, your neck, your spine, your head is going to turn opposite direction of your knees. And just like every other place, you're looking for softness here. Intention is to relax. If you've got your head turned, bring it back to the middle. Your top knee is going to move to the middle, followed by the bottom knee, and both are going to drop other way. If head wants to turn, head turns other way. If head is turned, we'll bring it back to the middle. Top knee moves back to the middle, followed by the bottom. Maybe your knees need to pull back in towards your chest one more time, rock a little side to side, just so more of your lower back's connected. Eventually, though, you'll find your very last position, which is Shavasana or corpse pose. If you get your legs out and lower back isn't okay, Again, your bolster can go right underneath. Once you're out, your only intention is to release and to relax. Your mind observing breath or sensation in the body. Staying with that very meditative practice. Awareness is here. With our awareness on our breath, let's inhale, let our belly fill up, and exhale, the belly will empty out. Inhaling, let it fill. Exhaling, empty it out. Your fingers, your toes, they can both wiggle. Your ankles or your wrists might roll. Bending our knees. We'll let our hips shift one way or another just so we can roll to the side body. Maybe your bottom arm sneaks under your head so your head's got some support. And to come up to seated, your hands and your arms will push you up. And we'll meet at a comfortable seat. Once at our comfortable seat, our eyes will close. One last moment of this place where our mind is here. It's connected with sensation. And as you let yourself have this last moment or two, I would ask you to just notice how you feel. Notice what it's like to spend an hour with your mind really, really connected. Together, we'll bring the palms together, the thumbs tucking at the heart, the chin bowed towards the chest. the witness, or the spirit in me, it honors the spirit in you. Namaste.